Yeah, okay.
There you are.
I just left Vanessa's thing.
Oh, you're coming in support. How was their presentation?
It's really well.
Good. No doubt that it was good.
And the response and stuff and lost the
Well, I may need this to show my. Mary Catherine, can you hear us?
Yes, we can. Can you hear us?
We can.
Yeah, she's not on the overall speakers, but.
Our
Down.
one guy can help us.
try tracking down.
One of those kind of.
Also change, right, which I'm sure he's probably like,
No idea. Probably not. They can.
can you guys see me?
I can't see you right now.
There you can.
There you are. Hi. Do you want us
Sorry, in your face.
right now?
I can't see you guys.
Well, we don't have it on yet.
Oh,
I didn't know if you really wanted to. There you go. Hi.
I didn't want to be up there either.
Hey,
I'm
Laura.
gonna see if I can't kind of give you.
You can shift it to me, so it's like, and it's nice not being in the back.
Yeah, it is. Unintentionally.
Dude.
Go ahead.
All right. What time is it?
11.
Oh, it's like 11.
Now it's 10:12.
Dude, don't make me.
I realize.
So we start in 3 minutes. Okay.
We've been here for an hour.
Okay, so we're gonna start in about 3 minutes. I'm guessing you'll pull up your thing and
Pam.
you know how to work your presentation on this while she's still able to.
Connected. We should be able to. What we'll do is just share the screen back with her.
Okay, good. Okay.
The only thing, I don't know how to get her on the speaker.
Yeah, and that's the one I need.
I'll do it for mine. So.
Mary Catherine, we're going to try to find a person to connect the speakers so that everyone can hear you to the speakers in the room.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That would be.
We're trying to get someone to figure out how to get the volume for our speaker to be able to come up for you. So,
Okay. Let me know if there's anything I can do on my end.
This is actually a presentation that we'll be giving to you at the National Safe Routes to School Conference in Tampa this year. So we're kind of doing a dry run with you guys. So.
Yes.
We're not on mute, right?
Trying to set this up so Mary Catherine will come across the speakers so everyone can hear her. I'm not sure. I'm wondering if it's not on the room control.
So they said that the first thing to do is turn this up. Okay, so that
Okay.
should be up.
Okay,
Oh, did that work?
not quite yet.
You don't really need lighting to read. Okay.
Mary Catherine, you want to say something? We'll see if it comes across.
Yeah, is the speaker working now?
No. You guys can't hear it back there? No. Not yet.
I'm gonna turn it.
How about that?
We can test.
You guys hear her well enough? Okay.
You just have to be extra quiet.
Yeah, we're going to end up hearing you out of, it sounds like the speaker on the computer for now. So I don't know where.
We're looking for the IT guy.
Yeah.
I speak very loudly. Does that help?
Guys, can you hear her? Okay, sounds good. Well, our moderator is actually running out looking for someone to help make the speaker work. I'm actually one of the speakers. But to kind of get things going, since you can hear her, Mary Catherine, can I have you do an introduction for you and Allegra? And we'll, since we don't have a moderator here to do that, and I'll kind of sit down and be quiet and let it get going.
All right, so my name is Mary Catherine Graziano. I'm the education manager at Locomotion, and I'm going to turn my computer to introduce Allegra.
Hi, everyone. I'm the Livable Streets manager, so I lead our advocacy and bike and pedestrian planning work.
All right, so we are talking about how we transform Safe Routes to School into Safe Routes for All, and that was through leveraging unique partnerships. So a little bit about Locomotion. We are a statewide walk bike advocacy organization. We offer a whole suite of resources to Vermonters. We supply bike education for kids and adults. We have secure bike parking. We do open streets. We do technical assistance. We run a bike ferry across the causeway. Literally, we do.
Uh-oh, hold on, Mary Catherine, we lost you all together.
It should come out. No?
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I may have used the wrong.
So the last thing I said was we operate a ferry across a causeway. So we do it all. Right, so the dilemma that sort of forced our hand, we'd always been talking about combining our work and making even more of an impact, but it was always hard to find the resources to do it. So the catalyst to this was the closure of the official support of Safe Routes to School in Vermont in 2016, and they handed the maintenance of the program over to us, Locomotion, since the contractor they hired could no longer do it since they were no longer financially supporting the program. The quote I love from this is, it will maintain itself. There's enough momentum. And as we all know, that's not how anything works, much less a school-based program where champions come and then leave and the program is no longer part of the school culture. So it started out with 100 partners, and within a year we had maybe 20 people participating in any meaningful way in the program, just because we didn't have enough resources. So we looked at what we could do to rejuvenate the program. Obviously, we don't have the resources to run a whole Safe Routes to School program on member-funded dollars, so we had to look at partnerships. So we found alternate funding. We found some money through the Governor's Highway Safety Program, and we partnered with a program called Way to Go, which I will discuss in detail later. And then last year, we used Way to Go as a way to really put a lot of emphasis and power behind our Safe Routes for All framing. All right, so Way to Go is actually a sustainable transportation program. So Safe Routes to School really is about empowering kids to walk and bike safely and reduce their family car driving. But there's a lot of overlap, obviously, between that and sustainable transportation. Way to Go has been around for 30 years, mostly focused on businesses and individuals. In 2016, they focused on a school challenge that was about 2 weeks long, which was excellent. It just didn't provide the flexibility that schools needed. So Locomotion pitched an opportunity for them to go year round and really supply the same kind of supports the Safe Routes supplies, which is the barrier to walking and biking safely. So last year we began that partnership, and it's been pretty fantastic. Here's a little YouTube video here.
9,000 students, faculty, and staff join forces to battle carbon pollution. Join Way to Go to School. Get moving and win. It's simple. Just walk, bike, carpool, or take the bus between September 2018 and June 2019. One lucky school will win an all-earth solar sunflower. Learn more at waytogovat.org.
Sorry about that. So the program was really successful. We went from those 20 schools to over 75 schools participating, and you can see by the different color spots that there was different levels of engagement. The yellow stars are the gold level schools, and the blue stars, which are more populous, were the beginning levels. And we had some yellow, which is the next level, and purple, which is in the next. So we did really well getting people engaged and getting them involved. All right, that wasn't quite enough. We used that Way to Go framework to really support the work we do at Locomotion to really bring it to other communities. So we brought everyday bicycling workshops for adults. We brought technical assistance, which Allegra will talk about. But in that process, we came up with a concept of Safe Routes for All, which started as a convening of partners and at an annual meeting, and we took it from there. So one thing we combined with Safe for All's framing is Bike Smart, program I run. It's our truly statewide program. It served all 14 Vermont counties and over 70 towns. So it's a really great place to springboard those partnerships that will allow us to expand. And because it's Vermont, we have kids biking in the snow, but always. We also ran programming for adults through the Way to Go work. So this Way to Go partnership helped us figure out how to integrate all of our work more seamlessly, which then led us to the Safe Routes for All concept that has really helped even empower more of our work. And now what I'm going to do is pass it on to Allegra.
Great. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our other program areas that sort of fall under this Safe Routes for All umbrella and that are kind of mutually supportive. So one of the, and talk a little bit about some of the unique partnerships we've formed as well. So we, a couple of years ago, launched an e-bike lending library program. We were seeing sort of the uptick in use of cargo bikes, families commuting together, and thought, you know, it might be more accessible to more families if there was a way for people to try out an e-bike for a week at a time for free, you know, the way you would take out something from a library. And so we've had a lot of success. We have 9 bikes in the program. 2 of our core partners through the Burlington program are the Burlington Electric Department, which is a public utility that's provided grant funding to support the purchase of bikes for the program and provides a rebate, helps, you know, with maintenance as needed. And also Car Share Vermont, so a car sharing organization similar to Zipcar, which provides a free membership for their services. So families are thinking about going from 2 cars down to 1 and, you know, switching out a car for an e-bike, for instance. It's a good way to incentivize that change. So we've done quite a bit of survey, sort of data collection with our users, and found that about 50% of families that use the program end up purchasing a e-bike, often a cargo bike, within a period of a year. So it's really shifted culturally how people are thinking about their commutes, and also, especially in places a little bit further afield in Vermont, you know, where, for instance, if you have a regular bike, people on average are willing to commute maybe 3 miles. An e-bike allows people to commute up to, you know, 10 or so miles. So it really changes the distances that people can go in terms of commuting to school and work. And we, this year, have just launched a traveling e-bike program with a few of our bikes, and have partnered with local libraries. There's a number of libraries in Vermont that already, you know, loan out gardening equipment or snowshoes. So it was sort of a building on that idea of how do you expand the library as a community resource. Some of our partners for the traveling e-bike program are also rec departments or but local bike shops. So it's really been a good way to kind of get the word out about e-bikes as a resource for, you know, making, for instance, a family commute possible altogether, and kind of thinking about the safe routes for all framing. And often we'll try to couple e-bike lending library, our mobile program, with workshops that we offer and some of the other programming that I'm going to get into. So a lot of my work is focused on changing the design of streets to, you know, really make them more easily accessible to people walking and biking, and to sort of change the dynamic of streetscapes. And one of the ways that we do that is through our pop-up projects. So we have a pop-up demonstration trailer, basically sort of like similarly to the lending library. It's a traffic calming lending library with all the sort of materials that you need to hold a tactical urbanism project in your community. So this was one of the first projects we did, actually along a corridor in Burlington that connects 2 of our most urban schools, and now is a permanent protected bike lane, but started as this 1-week pop-up project. So we have planter boxes, we have bollards, you know, we just did a 3D crosswalk in the community, roundabouts. And so it's really been a helpful way for communities or schools to try out, you know, to try something out before making it permanent and investing the resources in that. And so I wanted to just end with a story about a project that we ran with a group of students in a school in Rutland, Vermont, that sort of brings together a lot of these different program areas and kind of highlights some of the unique partnerships. So this was a group of middle school students actually who was sort of fed up with the, you know, the lack of a walk and bike culture at their school, and with just seeing a lot of unsafe behavior during the school drop-off. And so they, with their teacher, did some data collection and ultimately presented the idea to the school to try out basically a pop-up project. The teacher had heard about our trailer, and so thought it might be a unique partnership to try. And the students ended up presenting the design concept that we came up with with them to the traffic advisory committee, to the city. They were really impressed, completely on board. The school system itself had actually been for several years trying to get, crosswalks restriped and other changes made, and with no success reaching the city. And then, when the students went, it was a completely different situation. So it was, it's really been a great partnership that's grown. It started as, it's unique for us to work with a private school, and so this was a private Catholic school. We often will work with the Regional Planning Commission on pop-up projects, always work with the municipality, but brought in, the Vermont Energy Education Program. So it was this was built into the curriculum. There's a math teacher here who's fittingly helping with the measuring of the crosswalk with the students. We also, one of the parents and sort of community partners is a mural artist, and so helped design stencils so that we could have, students be a little bit more creative in the process, and helped make the project more visible. And then did things like have old shoes donated so we could make little footprints as kind of wayfinding. Did some pop-up education, and then a lot of data collection, which has ultimately been presented back to the city, and they're now moving forward to make the changes semi-permanently, working on a school travel plan. They installed bike racks at the school with our support, and we have led a safety workshop. And I think this has built a lot of momentum in Rutland, where there's really a need for this sort of cultural shift. And in a couple of weeks, we're working with a number of these partners again to lead the first Open Streets event in Rutland, which is really exciting, and also supporting development of a statewide bike walk advocacy committee that's held by the Regional Planning Commission. So it's really exciting to see the partnerships grow. This was a week-long event that's really just built and brought in others in ways that we couldn't have foreseen. And so we've been really happy to work with these folks and others, and wanted to share that with you.
Yes, and the whole point of all this is to say yes whenever possible. A lot of my connections have been through surprisingly random moments, like I'd be tabling, and then suddenly we have a $15,000 sponsor for our Bike Smart program because they saw us there and they wanted to connect, and their work aligned with ours. If you're an introvert like me, sometimes the idea of networking is not the most exciting, but there are ways you can do it that really feel accessible to you and powerful. I know that the Way to Go program actually really combined all of the pieces to allow the Rutland project to happen. We wouldn't have been working with BEEP if it wasn't for the Way to Go program, and if we weren't working with BEEP, we wouldn't have ended up in Rutland doing all this great work. And when we say Rutland really needs the help, they have a law that says bicyclists need to bike on the sidewalks. So there's a lot of need in that community for welcoming, walking, and biking in a safe way. And we just love seeing where these partners go. And if you have any questions for us, this is our contact information, and I believe we'll be answering questions later on.
Thank you, ladies. Okay, we're gonna do a little technical switch here.
And I think I'll turn that so they can see it. Okay. So State, we're gonna unplug your computer, but what I'm going to do is I'm gonna flip around this computer so that you can see. I think we'll still be attached, okay? I think well, maybe just switch it over. I think she's got one already plugged in. Oh, that's because I've got it slower.
Would you like our webcam on or off?
That no one can see it, so because we have that computer unplugged right now, so whatever you want to do. Okay. Mary Catherine, we're going to make a little bit of a change. I think I'm going to go ahead and jump in here.
We're gonna have Doug go ahead and go in. Sorry about the little technical difficulty. but what I will be talking about after Doug is a activity that we did, a project that we did with a grant from the Aetna Foundation. We worked with Children's Mercy, Kansas City. So I'm going to kind of be giving you guys that summary of what that 18
Did you
month
just switch it to that
project
one?
entailed and what we learned from it, the partnership that we
Okay.
formed. Again, when we're kind of drawing together all these people from all over technical difficulties. So thank you for bearing with us.
File manager.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
Sorry.
good.
Sorry,
It
guys.
is.
I don't use a Mac, so. And I don't use an iPhone either, so.
So-
I'm just not an Apple person. Actually, the
Let me just see if I-
slide present, ooh, do you have PowerPoint on there?
Yes, we do.
Okay, just the second one down. Yep, that will be it.
And this we just deny 4 times.
Okay. So I was gonna say, I have no clue on that.
3, 4. All right. There you go. And I'll go find
Okay,
out
and
how
I'm
to
gonna
flip it so
flip it
that,
so she can see.
there we go.
Okay, and I'll try to work the buttons backwards with this stuff. We actually, as I had mentioned earlier, will be giving this presentation at the National Safe Routes to School Conference. So what our topic is leveraging unique partnerships to address financial challenges. So I actually work for IBTS. I don't know if you're familiar with that. We're a nonprofit organization. We actually have an office in Kansas City. Kurt Scoots, the director there. And if you guys are familiar with the MARC office, we're on the first floor of the MARC office, where the IBTS office is. So nonprofit organization, we help cities with whatever needs they have. So I'm actually a city planner, educational background in landscape architecture. So I know, next one, thank you. So just a quick overview, going to talk a little bit about problems and just different issues that we deal with. If you want to go to the next, I think that's on the seeds, but I'll talk about the problem. Okay, I grew up and have spent most of my life in Colorado. Worked for the city of Fort Collins for about 15 years in northern Colorado. Fort Collins has been rated top 10 cities to live in time and time again. Outdoor Magazine always rates it up at the top. And we lived in a little town of Windsor, Colorado, which is in between Fort Collins, Greeley, and Loveland, kind of right in the middle. And, you know, in Colorado, we just walk, we hike. Well, about 12 years ago, my mother-in-law passed away, so we moved to Oklahoma. Huge cultural shock with that. No sidewalks anywhere. You know, as a planner in Fort Collins, we would argue with developers about accessing the bike trail, having lots of access to the bike trail. And they'd end up with lot premiums because of that. In Oklahoma, you argue with people to get sidewalks. Now, I was able to actually get a partnership grant from the National Safe Routes to School Partners, where they came in and helped us write a complete streets ordinance. We actually got that passed in one of the communities that I was working on, one that I lived outside of, which is Pryor, Oklahoma. And the day after we passed, the city council passed the complete streets ordinance, the first one in Oklahoma. The Board of Adjustments granted a exception for a duplex that had been built, not to have so it's very frustrating. Also in Oklahoma, we're the only state in the country where municipalities receive no ad valorem or property tax for their funding. They live strictly off of sales tax. So funding is very high there. We also have an attitude in Oklahoma that it's Oklahoma. The motto is Oklahoma is okay. Well, let me tell you, it's not okay. In fact, they're talking about changing the motto because that breeds mediocrity. And so you really need to look at that. So in addition to that, we always say in Oklahoma, thank God for Arkansas and for Missouri and Alabama. I shouldn't say Arkansas, Missouri and not, Mississippi and Alabama, because we're always right at the bottom when it comes to health. And thank God those other two states are there, or we would be at the bottom. Well, we actually are, if you look at the National Safe Routes to School ranking for support of schools, we're actually at the bottom with that. So it's a very difficult environment. Our state legislators several years ago actually led the charge against the transportation bill to cut programs like Safe Routes to School out of it. Enhancement grants, things like that. So it's been very difficult. And in fact, because of that, we had Safe Routes to School grants available. I'd applied for some. We'd actually been awarded one, but they didn't actually give us the money for 5 years. They basically sat on it. Legislators tried to do everything they could to steal that money to put it into bridge repair. So tough situation, sorry. So, how do I try to deal with this? How do we try to deal with this in Oklahoma? And it's to try to plant seeds. My kids used to, in Windsor, didn't even think about it. I went with them the first day, took the trail over to the school. You got sidewalks, 5 trails, some on-street lanes, make sure everything was safe. And from then on, they were riding their bikes to school. They were walking to school. The city pool on the other end of town, no problem, you can walk to it. No way in Oklahoma. So if you can start to talk and plant vision with people and start to get them to understand that there is life where you can ride bikes and you can actually walk, that really helps. After that, thank you. But it's all about collaboration, and that's what we're talking about. I'm going to show you some projects that we've been able to accomplish. I'm going to spend most of the time talking about the partnerships and how we were able to build them and what they actually did, why we were able to be successful with the projects. So you build relationships and you reach out to work with whoever you can. I actually, last year was the chairman for the Oklahoma Turning Point Policy Council, which that's a group that of coalitions, health coalitions throughout the state, with some assistance from the state health department, actually look at setting health policy. Why do I do that? To try to promote active transportation, healthy living throughout the entire state of Oklahoma. But you look for those different groups, the city, the actual health coalition in the county, the Chamber of Commerce. How many of you work with your Chamber of Commerce? The Chamber of Commerce is probably one of my best partners in the prior Oklahoma area because they support bike riding. They actually just last weekend had Dam Jam, which and it's I think they ended up with 1,000 people ride that. It's not really a race. It's basically they cross like 7 dams. And they started prior and they end back in prior. Great partnership. Cherokee Nation. I love working with tribes. Tribes, a lot of people look at tribes as being a bank account where they can go to them for money. I don't ever do that. I look at them as actual partners. When I am doing a bike to school day or a walk to school day, the tribe's right there. They'll bring their marshals, the light force patrol, there'll be bike trainings, bike safety trainings, they'll have health educators right there beside us, working with us to host those events. So they're just unbelievable. Mid-America Industrial Park, they've actually built a pump back track. And they're now having events over there at Mid-America Industrial Park. The second largest rural industrial park in the United States. There's a large Google server facility there. So there's a lot going on over there. Turning Point, talked with you a little bit about that. Actually, the school district, some of you may be with the school districts, great partnerships. If I could have you move to the next one. In Oklahoma, they actually took the tobacco settlement money and they put that into a trust fund. So it's the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust. And they let that money sit there for about 10 years and build. And after that built, they have employees that actually work to improve the health in Oklahoma, reduce tobacco use, but also work with the health. And they also offer grant opportunities to schools, to cities. And that program, this program is one of the best supporters in Oklahoma. They have a healthy living program that over 62 counties in Oklahoma are funded through that. Those have been great partnerships. Ariana Durr with the Mays County CSAC Healthy Living Program was actually going to come and speak with me. She wasn't able to do that, but that's how close a partnership. She works so closely with me. There are a lot of things that we've been trying to accomplish policy-wise that she's actually able to move forward and has been very successful. So thank you. TSAT, I wanted to get these to Laura earlier. This is just a wonderful resource that they have come out with. I've talked with them. They said you're more than happy to use this. So I'll get this to Laura. I've got it electronically where she can send it out to the group. But really good, just to, what do you need to do with active transportation? In addition to that, on the next slide, they also have a just planning guide information related to that that's helpful. They've worked with Change Labs out of California, a consulting firm out of California that has helped them develop all of these strategies and work with them with that. And they actually also have developed draft policy language for comprehensive plans and also for development codes. And I work very closely with TSAT on that because through IBTS, we actually write development codes for a lot of the smaller communities. If we need help with that, and so what we try to do is build into the policies, into those development codes, healthy living policies to try to improve the health of Oklahoma. By God, we're going to keep on top of Mississippi. So I'm going to talk about success stories, but like I said, I'm going to kind of show them quick and just tell you about the partners with that. Pryor Public Schools has implemented the Leader in Me program from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade. And they're one of their elementary schools is a Lighthouse School, and they have received several National School of Character Awards. Well, walking school bus, what are we going to do? We actually, through the Cherokee Nation got a community transformation grant from the CCC. It was part of the Affordable Health Care Act. I don't call it Obama. I call it the Affordable Health Care Act. One of the best things I think that have ever happened to us. But out of that act, the funding that was provided helped fund programs that the Cherokee Nation then came and partnered with us to help implement. Cherokee Nation saw me. I was actually the planning director in Tahlequah, the capital of the Cherokee Nation, for a while, and they identified me as a community champion. One of the best things that happened. Then they started working with me with that. I left Tahlequah, went to Pryor. It came right alongside. Pryor is a community within the Cherokee Nation. So they actually used funding to bring Dan Burton to town. Dan had never been to a community as small as Pryor. Pryor's a community of about 10,000. Tahlequah's about the same. Tahlequah's about actually 13. So he prepared a safe routes to school plan for Pryor, Tahlequah, Nowata, population about 2,500, and Stillwell. Stillwell would be lucky if it's a population of 2,000. How do you ever get that done? You can't. But through that partnership, that assistance, we did that. Well, National School of Character, walking school bus. What are we going to do? We have leadership programs in high school. And so I said, help. So we actually have leadership kids from the high school come and meet at the 3 elementary schools, specific locations every Wednesday, and those kids walk with the high school students to the school and back. Or, and they don't get in the evening, sorry, they walk. And the high school kids walk back, get in their cars, go up to the high school and get to class. You know what that's like for that little third grader to have that mentor relationship with the high school. They received a National School of Character Award because of that, because of the Walking Wednesday program. They've got 3 elementary schools every Wednesday, at least 100 kids showing up. So, yeah. I already talked about Dan Burden. He came, he worked with our leadership kids at the high school, actually got their ideas, met with the 3 elementary schools. That's our superintendent. That's one of the principals of the elementary. They actually were creating a traffic circle to talk about an intersection problem behind one of the schools. Just amazing. I had worked with Dan in the past when I was in Fort Collins. I don't know how many of you have ever had a chance to work with Dan. He did. It's just amazing. Bring him down, work with him. So I think he's doing a lot right now with blue zones. So one thing Dan recommended in one of the plans was to put a big graphic. You guys have seen this, but we actually got the high school leadership kids. We painted the stencils, is what folks were showing earlier. And we came out, this is in front of one of the elementary schools, to bring attention. Principal loves it. I should have shown, we had the principal. She actually goes and meets the kids and walks with them. We have 2, we have an assistant principal that does that at one elementary, one and the other here. Those schools really grow in the program too well. The other elementary school principal doesn't really get involved. Try working with it, doesn't really get involved, not as great, not as successful there. So to get that involvement with the school is really key. This is a health educator from the Cherokee Nation right there alongside us working and helping. Speed bumps, different things Dan recommended. On this street, slow traffic down by the school, just paint 2 white lines. People thought we were crazy. Guess what? It works. Perceived danger. When they see those lines, it looks narrower than it is, they slow down. Can you believe doing something as simple as that? Amazing. Everything that we were able to do, also working with the school district, working with the health coalition in town. The city actually received Most Innovative City Award from the National League of Cities. That's the mayor at the time that was accepting that. Because we received that award, one of our congressmen then recognized us with an honor as well for receiving that award. So it all builds on itself. In addition to that, we were able to get grant funding from the TSAT Healthy Living Program. We got the industrial park on board with chip-in money. We got the Chamber of Commerce involved. We got one of the Cherokee Nation councilwomen, her family gave money, and we were able to pull together funding to actually produce a master trails plan for the entire county and for the city itself. Once we did that, the city turned around and was able to get a $600,000 CAP grant to start building the first phase. Now, since then, Ariana has actually worked with 2 other cities, town and cities in the county, got them to adopt the county plan. And Ashoto actually just received $700,000 in CAP. This will build a large chunk of the trail that will be for the county trail system, but the schools are right here on the highway, same with the Locust Grove community, and so that really benefits the local schools, provide safe routes for them. So I've also worked all over, mainly in Oklahoma, the Panhandle of Oklahoma. This is out a few, I'm sorry, Lord. I got talking, I'm insane.
You're okay.
I apologize. Panhandle of Oklahoma. We actually, there are 36 different languages spoken in environment. There's a large pork producing facility out there. And so we worked with them by doing a comprehensive plan. And in addition to that, the city has decided to do a downtown master plan. So they're working on that. But the Healthy Living Program, the director of the Healthy Living Program out there, she's in Hammond. And so she, with us, was able to work with OU, Institute for Quality Communities. They came and they did a focus plan on different projects to help improve access to the schools, slow down traffic and all. And they're actually, a couple of weeks ago, they actually got out there and they painted this. There are just some different aerial photographs they're showing from there. And what I always try to do, guys, is I try to work backwards. So in my mind, I think of the problem. What do I want? I want trails. How do I get trails? Well, I'm going to need money. How am I going to get that much money? I'm going to have to tap into the federal highway dollars. That's the only way I'll ever be able to get that amount of money. Once I figure that out, then it's like, okay, what grants will get me there? Then what do I need to make those grants work? I need a master trails grant. I need a complete streets policy. I need funding from TSAC to pay for those plans. What do I have to do there? I have to adopt a policy within the city where you can't smoke in our parks. You can't use tobacco in our parks. I have to have a social host ordinance where if you give alcohol to a minor, you can be thrown in jail. I have to do all those different levels. TSAC has it, she jumped for to be able to get grants. I have to have all those ordinances in place. And so, like I said, think big and work down and figure out how you need to put it together. And what I want to do is challenge you to do that. Think of the partnerships that you can build. Think outside the box. Think about the projects that what you want to accomplish and then how to do that. I appreciate the time and all. If you ever need to talk to me, just call up Kurt. Like I said, first of all, Mark. I was actually speaking at the Missouri Municipal League Conference yesterday. So I'm about 4 hours from here. So if you need any help, so thank you. And once again, I apologize.
No worries. So these slides and these presentations will be available. We're going to email them to you guys since you registered. We do have email addresses that we can follow up with access to the presentation. Again, the presentation that I was going to speak on is an activity summary over an 18-month project that we did with the Allen Foundation for Transparency to evaluate programming and built environment improvement. So again, we will have that you guys can access afterwards. Thank you, Doug, for coming.
I'll turn Mary Catherine.
Our presenters from Vermont. And so,
I think we've lost her.
oh,
So
Okay.
is there a password? This is
she might.
We're here.
Oh, you're there. You can hear us
Yeah.
still.
Yeah, so this is your presentation on this one.
Mhm. Let me get back to the screen so maybe we can see Mary Catherine.
We're not gonna broadcast up there, we're gonna broadcast it from this. No, you want to use this one? Oh, okay, sorry. Go back.
Any
Undo
questions
this one.
while we have Mary Catherine on the, you hear us?
Sort of. I think maybe you might want somebody closer to repeat questions.
So I think the main point here is that, in your community, there are partnerships to be had. Some of them may be out of the ordinary. So Doug was talking about like an industrial park, finding a great partnership there, working with tribes in Vermont, definitely using those partnerships to show other cities how they can start to look inwards and find those partnerships so that they can start to increase healthy activities. anybody have any questions, like I said, for our presenters?
We ended up with $10,000 from that industrial park. And also commitments that when we get bike trails to the park, that they'll build them throughout the park.
Yeah, I think the other thing that these presentations highlight is definitely, you know, you were talking kind of about hoops and things like that, but, you know, definitely finding those partners who come through tough times. When you find those challenges, how do I get to that federal money? How do I get on board? How do I get those policy changes? So, you know, really realizing that in part, we give a little bit, they give a little bit, so making those connections early, really make it happen. So.
And I'll tell you, I want to move to Vermont. You know, I want one of those trailers. You know, I'm going to be looking for funding for one of those trailers.
You're welcome.
Again, any questions? We have another 15-minute break, so bathroom, food. Jen DeMello from Kaboom will be presenting at 11:15. She is absolutely fantastic. Again, she's got some really unique stories about different communities that she's worked in and the ways that they've worked to solve getting people to all different kinds of destinations and playing along the way. So I really encourage you, if you're able to stay, to see the keynote presentation. Thank you.
Thanks. I'll talk to you guys later.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
So is this your?
This one is